Today, we're going to talk, as Sherry said, preservation settings and account managers. Both of these features are totally unique to Forever, and they go hand in hand with our guarantee fund, and they help to ensure that your personal memories are preserved the way that you want them to be for generations. So as we share about how the account manager and preservation settings work, our goal is for you to understand the options and be able to help your clients make these same decisions about their own account. So first, let's talk about an account manager. An account manager is mandatory. It's not, I apologize, account manager is not mandatory. It is optional, but most people choose to have an account manager. So there are a lot of benefits to having one. You can also have more than one account manager. So most people choose family members as their account managers, but you can also choose a trusted friend. There are several things an account manager can help you with both today and after you are no longer able to take care of your account. They can add photos. They can help organize those photos by adding them to albums or tags. They can even create new albums or tags when they're helping you to organize. A great feature that a lot of people use with account managers is that they can add descriptions to your photos. And this becomes really helpful if you're working with older family photos. Basically, an account manager can do everything that an owner can do except delete photos or change your preservation settings. You do need to understand that a part of being able to do everything as an owner is they can see your private albums and everything in your library. Forever is working currently on changing and enhancing and developing our privacy settings. So if you have comments about that, feel free to write to support@forever.com. Sherry's going to talk a little bit more about how to set up an account manager, but I wanted to give you a few scenarios of when an account manager may be useful. You may want to have an account manager or more than one account manager today if you like to collaborate with other family members to organize and describe your photos. You may also want to have an account manager or managers who will only work in your account after you pass away to help finish the organizing, descriptions, adding photos, etc. that you weren't able to complete. Remember, friends and family can only see your albums, so you may want the account manager to add the photos that are in your library to an album so they will be accessible to others in the future. I like being the account manager for my grown children because I can go to their account and move photos to my account from their library. Remember, friends and family can only view photos that have been added to an album. This way, I don't need to wait for my kids to add the photos to an album for me to see or copy their photos. If you do have a client who chooses, for whatever reason, not to have an account manager, please encourage them to tell their family members and maybe even put it in writing with their other legal papers that they do have a Forever account and how the family can find that account. I would encourage everybody to have a conversation with their account manager to let them know what they want them to do with their account when they're no longer able to manage it for themselves. So the next thing we're going to talk about is preservation settings. Everybody needs to look at and make a choice for their preservation settings. These settings tell Forever what you want to happen to your account after your passing. Only the account owner can change the preservation settings. So it's a good idea to revisit these settings on an annual basis to see if you want to make any changes. To get to the preservation settings page, you go to the account settings and then choose preservation settings. You will have 3 things to think about. The first is when you want your private albums to become available to friends and family members. The options are immediately upon my passing, 1, 5, 10, 25, or 100 years after my passing, or never. The default on all of these is never. The second option is when do you want your friends and family albums to become available to the public? You have the same options. Immediately upon my passing, 1, 5, 10, 25, or 100 years after my passing, or never. The third option is about your account manager and when you want that account manager removed from your account, and you get the same options. The account manager would still stay as a friends and family member, but would no longer have account manager privileges such as adding, organizing, etc. You're not guaranteed tomorrow, so make the best choice you can today. You can always revisit and change your choice. We have all purchased these forever storage accounts because we want our photos and stories to be accessible to future generations. The preservation settings are what give you these options.
Or Lori, if you'd like to read some questions.
Sure. Sheila asks, friends and family can transfer or copy photos to their own album from their friend's album, can't they? That's a question. Can they do that?
Friends and family can go into their friends and families, yes, and copy pictures over to their account. So I can go into my sister's account, click on photos from Christmas and copy them over to mine. Correct.
Yes. And Ruth asks, if you are an account manager for a parent, does this mean that parent can see all of your library, albums, and more?
No. The account manager can see the other person's. It's not reciprocal unless you've set them up as your account manager. Does that make sense?
So if you are there, if they are your account manager, if my mom is my account manager, then yes, she could see my library. But my mom is not my account manager. Therefore, my mom can only see my photos and my albums because we're friends and family.
An account manager has to be in friends and family, so that's why that happens.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Pam asks, if they change their email address, but I'm not aware, or over time they forget the password, etc., will they still be able to access the account?
If they forget their email or their email, you forget your password, you could reset
or forget their password.
Oh, I'm certain if they forget their password, you certainly can reset it. That's easy. Like you could, if you forgot your password today, you could reset it. And if they forgot, if they forget, they changed their email, you would still log in with your old email. You can change your email and that's okay. But if they forget what their old email was, say 10, 20 years have gone by, I'm certain if they would contact Forever, if they went to forever.com and looked at contact us, I'm sure they would change the email.
Okay, Audrey asks, what would be the reason to have my content become accessible to the public?
Because down the road, say 25, 50 years from now, if you had family members that were really looking for you and they weren't friends and family because maybe they weren't even born or whatever at the point you passed away, they would be able to find you.
Yeah, you kind of have to think long term. So like, maybe your children's children will really be into it and they could search and they could find our pictures.
And maybe it can be great nieces or great nephews, but you have pictures of their parents. So, as time goes on, families spread out and they could be looking for you and looking for that.
Okay, Stacy asks, if photos aren't in an album yet, can the account manager still have access? She said she missed the part where you mentioned they had to be in an album, but she's not sure what that was referring to.
An account manager has access to everything. They have access to everything in your library. Friends and family can only see what's in an album. So that's the real benefit of an account manager, is they can go in and help you organize, see what's in your library, move those to albums. But account managers can see everything.
Okay. Joanna asks, when this was a newer option, my girls used their school email address to set up a free account. These email addresses are only available while they were in school. What do I need to do with this account?
They just need to log in with that school email that they set up their Forever account and go up under account settings and change their email to their current email.
Becky asks, when someone passes, who becomes the account owner? or an account manager? Does the account manager become the account owner? That was the question.
No.
Well, they're not really the account owner. They still stay as the account manager. They still will not be able to delete. They'll still have all the other functionality, like Cheryl said. It will still stay. And the reason that is that no one can go and then delete your content that you saved in forever. Is that how you'd answer that?
Yep.
Cheryl?
Okay, Judy asks, every account manager has to have at least a free account. Is that true?
That is
True.
true.
Okay. Laurie asks, if I am someone's account manager, that person can see all of my albums shared with friends and family, correct?
Can you say that again? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
if I am
Sorry.
someone's account manager, that person can see all of my albums shared with family and friends and family, correct?
Correct.
Then Pam asks, are there ways to tag or have a photo saved in several albums or under people, similar to Historian, where it only takes up the gigabyte of space of one photo?
Correct. Yes, that would be a yes. Just
Okay.
tagging you can tag a photo as many times as you want.
Or put
And
it
it
in
does-
as many albums as you want, and it does not count more than once against your storage.
Correct.
Okay. Audrey asks, is there anything unsafe to share with the public? I have my kids as friends and family. Couldn't share in the future with who they think is okay to share with. Is there anything unsafe to share with the public?
That's probably a personal opinion.
So my private albums right now consist of like our passports, our driver's license, some important documents. I'm not going to release those to the public because they're not things that I feel like people are social security cards. I feel like they are things that are, so, but that's kind of a personal choice.
Yeah. And then Gail asks, she's curious how the two of you have your preservation settings set, if you're willing to share that. I think Sherry just answered part of that.
Yeah, my friends and family will go public because really my friends and family photos are not, and the private ones are staying private. That's what I'm doing at this point. But I, like Cheryl, I have changed it a few times. So I do think it's important to kind of keep thinking about it and revisiting it.
Okay.
Right.
Sandy asks, after you pass, an account manager inherits it, then who gets it next? How does passing down work? After you pass, an account manager inherits it, then who gets it next? How does passing down work?
And well, that's part of where if you would change it to be public at some point, but an account manager can also set up other account managers.
So hopefully my children will then name their children the account manager. Is my
Gail
thought.
asks, when the original owner and account manager died, you set up a new account manager. Actually, you just answered that. So. And Pam asks, can you tag several photos at one time or only individually?
You can tag lots.
Using the bulk organizer.
And I think that's all we have for questions right now. You guys did such a great job. Oh, one.
All right.
Let me see. Okay, Audrey says, okay, so under preservation settings, can I choose which photos and documents to become public, or does everything become public by selecting public?
What you change is anything that was currently friends and family would become public. And at this point, it's everything, but Forever is working on these things. So if you have, specific things you would like to see, definitely send them into support. But right now, with the preservation setting, anything that was set to friends and family would go over to public if you chose that option.
A lot of these privacy levels are things that they are talking about and, kind of tweaking. So, and there'll be more information. So yeah, like Cheryl said, if you have a strong thought on this, please email support@forever.com.
Yep. And Ruth says this was great and I will be referring back to it often, and she has to get it in her brain. So that's awesome.